The movie begins by showing a long time ago, there was a kingdom named P, and they lost an important city of Jinzhou. This happened because their commander, Ziyu, lost in a fight against the unbeaten king of the Nun Kingdom, Yangchun. Several years later, a guy named Lu Yan, who was an advisor to the Pei Kingdom, went to see their king, Pei Lian. He wanted to tell the king about Ziyu, who had recently gone to Jinzhou, but he didn't know why Ziyu went there. When King Pei Lian heard this, he told Lu Yan to bring Ziyu to him right away. On the other hand, Ziyu's wife, Shouai, and the king's younger sister, Qingping, they were playing a game with dice on a board, and they believed it could predict what would happen to the Pei Kingdom. After rolling the dice, Shouai said it meant a big battle would happen on the 7th rainy day, and a great man would win. Later, Ziyu finally met with King Pei Lian, and told him that he went to Jinzhou to challenge Yangchun and take the city back. King Pei Lian was worried that this challenge might start a war and ruin the peace between their kingdom and Nun Kingdom. Ziyu offered to be punished by beheading for challenging without permission, but the Pei Lian refused. Instead, Pei Lian asked Ziyu and Shouai to play a musical instrument called a guzheng. They didn't want to play it until they got Jinzhou back. Unfortunately, Pei Lian continued to pressure her until she reluctantly played it, and suddenly Shouai pulled out a dagger to do the unthinkable. Ziyu quickly stopped his wife's actions, and then cut his own hair as a sign of her wrongdoing to the king before finally inviting her to leave the royal room. Once Ziyu and Shouai left, Lu Yan had an idea. He said to Pei Lian that maybe Qingping should marry Yangchung's son, Yangping, to keep the peace between the two kingdoms. Pei Lian thought it was a good idea and told them to send this message to Yangchun. Later that night, Shouai sneaked into his secret room leading to a cave where Ziyu was. But it turned out there were two Ziyus, the real one and the man who had been pretending to be Ziyu, who was actually a shadow named Jinzhou. A few years ago, Ziyu had lost a fight to Yangchun and got a bad chest injury. He hid in the cave and got Jinzhou to take his place as the leader of the Pei Kingdom. Now Ziyu was deliberately hurting Jinzhou's chest to make it look like they both had the same wound from Yangchung's attack. After Jinzhou patched up his injury, he and Shouai went back to the room to rest. But since Jinzhou knew he wasn't really Shouai's husband, he decided to sleep on the floor. The next day, Pei Lian called a meeting with the kingdom's officials to talk about what Ziyu did in challenging Yangchun to a fight without telling anyone. In the meeting, Pei Lian told Jinzhou, who he believed was the real Ziyu, to cancel the duel. But Jinzhou said refused. He thought the fight would decide the fate of Jinzhou, which was still under Nun Kingdom's rule. He even called Pei Lian a coward and quit as the kingdom's leader. Pei Lian agreed to let him go, and Jinzhou gave up his position as commander. Just before Jinzhou left the room, Pei Lian asked to see the wounds he got from losing to Yangchun. Jinzhou showed them, but Pei Lian got suspicious about a new wound on Jinzhou's chest. Jinzhou said he made that wound on purpose to show his failure to protect Jinzhou. Jinzhou went back to the cave to train with Ziyu. They were going to have 3 rounds of combat, and if Jinzhou lost 2 out of 3, he would be considered beaten by Ziyu. The next day, while Pei Lian was practicing his writing, Lu Yan came in quickly with a message from Yangping. He agreed to marry Pei Lian's sister, Qingping, but not as his wife, just as a concubine. This made the kingdom's officials, including General Tian, really mad because it was like an insult to the Pei Kingdom. But the king didn't seem to care and agreed to Yangping's request. Qingping was angry at her brother for not standing up for her. Meanwhile, over in the Nun Kingdom, Yangchun was teaching his son, Yangping, how to use a sword staff in their training. Afterward, they talked about Ziyu, who had challenged Yangchun to a duel to win Jinzhou. They believed that the Nun Kingdom had a stronger army than the Pei Kingdom, which had let go of some government officials. In a hidden cave, Ziyu was showing Jinzhou a technique to defend against attacks using an umbrella knife weapon. Jinzhou was really happy to learn this move, and Ziyu asked Shouai to help train Jinzhou to master it. Once the training was done, Jinzhou went to the forest to play his flute. There, he met Tian, who was curious about the flute Jin Zhou was playing. Tian asked where Jin Zhou got it, and without hesitating, Jin Zhou invited Tian to the secret cave to meet Ziyu, the person who had made the flute. When Tian arrived at the cave, he was shocked to find out that the real Ziyu had been hiding there all along and had asked Jin Zhou to take his place as a shadow. Ziyu then revealed a big plan to make his dreams come true with Jin Zhou's help. Jin Zhou would challenge Yang Cheng, while Tian would lead a group of convicts to attack Jin Zhou and kill Pei Lian, so that Ziyu could become king. If Ziyu succeeded, he promised to make Tian the kingdom's commander, and Tian agreed to the plan. The next day, Tian started teaching the kingdom's prisoners the umbrella knife technique he had learned from Ziyu. Meanwhile, in the secret cave, Ziyu and Jin Zhou were sipping tea and talking about Jin Zhao's mother, who was still alive. Ziyu revealed where she was and promised to let Jin Zhou go home if he could beat Yang Cheng in the duel. Hearing this, Jin Zhou got even more determined to win and reunite with his mother. After tea with Ziyu, Jin Zhou went back to Shouai's room. Since it was their last night together, Jin Zhou told Shouai he'd do anything she wanted. She had been tempted by him for a while and asked him to sleep with her. Jin Zhou agreed, not knowing that Ziyu was secretly watching from behind a hole in the wall and looked very angry at his wife and Shadow's actions. On the day of the battle between Jin Zhou and Yang Cheng, Jin Zhou arrived in Jinzhou on a big bamboo raft with a yin and yang symbol. He challenged Yang Cheng to duel on the raft, making Young Pink warn his father to be careful because Jin Zhou might have brought his forces secretly. As Young Pink suspected, right under the bamboo raft, Tian and his group of convicts were all set to dive and sneak into the city through an underwater passage. The general was pretty surprised when he saw Qing Pink among the convicts joining the attack. She explained that she wanted to help Tian take back Jin Zhou for the Pei Kingdom. Back on the bamboo raft, Jin Zhou and Yang Cheng had started their battle. They were trading blows with their weapons. Yang Cheng managed to hurt Jin Zhou a few times with his sword spear, but Jin Zhou, determined not to lose, fought back using his umbrella knife. At the same time, Tian and his troops had quietly entered the city and took down the guards using bows and arrows. They all used umbrella knives as both weapons and shields to get to the city center and fight against the enemy soldiers stationed in Jinshao. When they encountered the Nun Kingdom forces, a battle between the two kingdoms broke out. On the bamboo raft, Jin Zhou kept facing off against Yang Cheng, even though he was struggling against the Nun Kingdom's king's attacks. Just when Yang Cheng used his favorite spear sword move and struck Jin Zhou with his umbrella knife, Jin Zhou suddenly used a technique that Shouai had taught him earlier. He spun the umbrella, knocking Yang Cheng's spear sword aside. But Yang Cheng quickly got his weapon back and attacked again, causing a severe injury to Jin Zhao's back. Yang Cheng thought Jin Zhou had lost because he was defenseless, but Jin Zhou refused to give up and challenged Yang Cheng to a fight to the death. Yang Cheng accepted without hesitation. In the city, Yang King saw his troops struggling against Tian's forces and decided to join the battle. He fought against Qing Pink and, using skills his father had taught him, defeated Pei Lian's younger sister with his spear sword technique. Before she died, Qing Pink tried to say something, and Young Pink approached to hear her final message. She revealed that she was a woman from the Pei Kingdom whom Young Pink had planned to make his concubine. Young Pink was shocked to hear this, and at the same time, Qing Pink used her remaining strength to pull out a dagger and stabbed Young Pink in the throat, causing both of them to die together. On the other side, Tian, after defeating the enemy forces, quickly took down the Nun Kingdom's flag and announced that they had successfully taken back Jinzhou for the Pei Kingdom. Yang Cheng, realizing his son had lost and the enemy had the city, got really angry and attacked Jinzhou recklessly, not giving his opponent a chance to fight back. Even though Yang Cheng got briefly struck by Jinzhou's dagger, he threw Jinzhou onto a broken bamboo shoot. Then he picked up an umbrella knife to kill Jinzhou, but Jinzhou quickly moved the knife toward Yang Cheng's throat, which led to the death of the Nun Kingdom's king. Jinzhou, with a lot of wounds, who had won against Yang Cheng, went to an address given by Ziyu to find his mother, but sadly found out she had been killed. At the same time, some mysterious people showed up and attacked Jin Zhou. Luckily, a hired assassin came and helped Jin Zhou defeat all the mysterious figures trying to harm him. Before leaving, the hired assassin said Pei Lian had told him to protect Jin Zhou. Meanwhile, Pei Lian and his guards rushed to see Qing Pink's lifeless body after the battle in Jin Zhou. The king was really sad about his sister's death and regretted letting Qing Pink be taken as a concubine by his enemies, which had led her to join the battle. The next day, Pei Lian made an announcement in front of all the important people of the kingdom. He told them that Jin Zhou was back in the Pei Kingdom's territory and welcomed Jin Zhou, still known as Ziyu, as a hero. After Jin Zhou came in, all dirty and wounded, Pei Lian asked everyone except Shouai, Jin Zhou, and Lu Yan to leave the room. Meanwhile, in the secret cave, 3 assassins sent by Pei Lian were carrying out a mission to get rid of Ziyu. The king had learned all of Ziyu's hidden plans, including his plan to take over the Pei Kingdom. Back in the royal hall, Pei Lian didn't waste any time. He killed Lu Yan, who he blamed for Qing Pink's death because he had suggested her marriage to young Pink. Then Pei Lian told Jin Zhou that he knew everything about Ziyu hiding in the secret cave. He had purposely sent assassins to kill the real commander so that Jin Zhou could become the true commander and marry Shouai. A little while later, one of the assassins with a covered head came into the room carrying a box that seemed to have Ziyu's head inside. But when Pei Lian opened it, there was nothing in there. Before he could ask about it, the assassin suddenly stabbed the king in the stomach with his sword, leaving Pei Lian helpless. When the assassin took off the head covering, surprisingly, it was Ziyu in disguise, and he had defeated all the assassins the king had sent. Ziyu then told them that it was the king who had killed Jin Zhao's mother, so he asked his shadow to behead Pei Lian so that he could become the king. Just as Jin Zhao was about to follow this order, Ziyu tried to quietly kill his shadow. Luckily, Jin Zhao realized it and stabbed Ziyu first. He revealed that he knew Ziyu was the one who had killed his mother because only the commander knew where she was. Without hesitation, Jin Zhou killed the king and put his sword in Ziyu's hand to make it look like the commander had killed Pei Lian. Meanwhile, Shouai watched all this happen in fear and stayed silent. In the last part of the movie, Jin Zhou left the room to tell Tian and all the important people in the kingdom that Pei Lian was dead and he had taken care of the king's assassin. Inside the room, Shouai hurried after Jin Zhou but stopped behind the door. She was in a dilemma, not sure whether to expose everything Jin Zhao had done or to accept her new role. Moral lesson from the story is, if you ever end up in a kingdom where people look alike, there are lots of fights, and someone's playing a guzheng, always carry an umbrella with a hidden knife. You never know when it might save the day.